can't hold them back! Okay, back away now!
My name is Dr. Maya Chen. On paper, I'm a wildlife veterinarian, but in reality, I'm the voice of science and medicine for an unofficial team. We call ourselves Quiet Paws. We're not a government agency or a cumbersome nonprofit. We're simply 3 humans and a dog, bound by a single belief: minimum intervention, maximum impact. We formed because we were tired of the bureaucracy that often leaves the most vulnerable creatures behind. We go where we're needed, when we're needed. Most calls are logistical and medical challenges: a trapped mountain lion, a pod of dolphins tangled in nets. But some calls, they're different. They carry a weight that settles in your bones long before you arrive on the scene. That night in Detroit was one of them. The call was reported as an aggressive, potentially dangerous animal. But the language I heard on the wind wasn't aggression. It was desperation. And I've learned that desperation is almost always misunderstood. Hit the like button if you believe every life is worth fighting for. And stay with us, because what happened next tested our team like never before. That night, when Jack burst out of the truck, we didn't think we were going to save a hero. We thought we were facing a monster. The biting cold of the Detroit snowstorm was nothing compared to the chill emanating from the situation before us. Red and blue lights from 3 police cruisers flashed erratically, turning the falling snowflakes into ghostly specks of light. They illuminated the heart of the chaos, a dead-end alley where the smell of damp garbage mingled with the thick, metallic scent of blood and fear. There, a massive animal, looking like something out of a nightmare, stood its ground. Its fur was matted into stiff clumps with mud and ice. The hackles on its back were raised like a row of spikes. But the most terrifying thing was its face. Its muzzle was drenched in fresh blood, dripping onto the white snow, creating gruesome red dots. It was crouched over a messy pile of rags, baring its yellowed teeth, growling ferociously at the 3 police officers aiming their guns at it. "Shoot it! Just shoot it!" a young officer yelled, his voice cracking with panic. "It just mauled something. Look at its bloody mouth." "Hold your fire! Do not shoot!" Jack roared, his voice overpowering the wind. He threw himself into the line of fire, his arms spread wide like a human shield. With his tall, sturdy frame, he was the only thing between the trembling guns and the animal. "Are you crazy? Get out of the way!" the officer yelled back. "There could be someone injured under it. We have to neutralize it." That was our greatest fear. The dog looked completely out of control. Its eyes were bloodshot, saliva and blood mixing as it dripped to the ground. It didn't look like a lost pet. It looked like a cornered wolf, ready to tear apart anything that dared to come near. I could see the extreme agitation in every twitching muscle of its body. Liam and I slipped behind Jack, moving as quickly and quietly as 2 shadows. Liam held a specialized catch pole, the metal loop at the end glinting under the lights. I gripped a syringe filled with a powerful dose of Telazol, enough to take down a small bear. My heart hammered against my ribs. Every one of my senses screamed, danger, extreme danger. "He's overstimulated, Maya," Liam whispered, his eyes fixed on the animal. "Be careful, he could attack at any moment. I'll try to control his head. You inject him in the rear thigh." It was a standard plan, but there was nothing standard about this situation. I signaled to Coda, who was healing closely, his body tense as a coiled spring. This was our last resort, our diplomatic card. Coda understood. He moved forward, calm and steady. He didn't bark. He lowered his head, his tail wagging slowly at a low level, and let out soft whines from deep in his throat, a language of peace that all dogs understand. The old dog saw Coda. The crazed aggression in its eyes flickered for a millisecond. It looked at Coda, then glanced at me, the one holding the syringe. A moment of hesitation, a brief instant of indecision crossed its blood-stained face, and then it shuddered violently. Not to attack. Its entire body convulsed, and then it collapsed. Its hind legs gave out first. It was no longer tense, but went completely limp, falling onto the snow like an empty sack, passed out from sheer exhaustion. A sudden silence fell over the alley. Only the whistling of the wind remained. "Is it dead?" "Good," one officer breathed a sigh of relief. "Quick, check that pile of rags." Another, younger officer rushed forward. He didn't hesitate to use the toe of his boot to shove the dog's hip aside. He tore open the pile of cardboard and filthy rags the dog had been guarding. He let out a choked cry, stumbling back several steps, his face as white as the snow. "Oh my God, it's a baby, a newborn baby." I froze. My heart felt like it stopped. The baby lay there, purple and still in the bone-chilling cold. And more horrifyingly, on the thin woolen blanket wrapped around it, there was a streak of fresh red blood, matching the blood on the dog's muzzle. Did it attack the baby?" Liam uttered, his voice filled with disgust. Liam's question hung in the cold air. All eyes turned to the motionless dog. A killer? A man-eating beast? I rushed to give first aid to the baby. Jack and Liam carried the dog to the truck. No one said a word. A heavy, sickening silence enveloped us. We had rescued the animal as per procedure, but had we just saved a murderer? The surgical lights in our mobile clinic were bright, cold. The baby had been transferred to a pediatric ambulance, its sirens wailing as it sped off into the night. And I was left with the only suspect, a silent patient unable to defend himself. I had to find the truth, not just with my heart, but with science. I began a comprehensive examination. The first step was to wash away the blood and mud. As the warm water ran over its matted fur, the truth began to reveal itself, layer by layer. Beneath the ferocious exterior was a body wasted away to bone. I could count every one of its ribs. This was a creature that had been starving for a very long time. I carefully opened its mouth, searching for evidence. If it had bitten the baby, there would be traces of skin, hair, or fabric. But there was nothing. Its teeth were suspiciously clean, stained only with its own blood from inflamed and torn gums. "Jack," I called out, my voice filled with surprise. "There's nothing in his mouth." Next, I checked his body temperature, 94.1 degrees Fahrenheit, severe hypothermia. I started an IV, pumping warm electrolytes and a high dose of antibiotics into his body. As I shaved a patch of fur on his foreleg to place the catheter, I noticed his joints were swollen and deformed. Chronic arthritis, severe. Every movement must have been agonizing for him. Then I found them. Under the thick fur on his belly and hind legs were dozens of fresh wounds, bite marks. Dozens of small, deep, ragged bites. These were not human-inflicted. "Liam, come look at this," I called. "These are rodent bites, a lot of them. He was swarmed by a pack of rats." Jack, who was driving, looked at me through the rearview mirror. "Rats? A dog this big attacked by rats?" "He was too weak to fight back, Jack. He's malnourished, arthritic, and probably an end-stage renal failure. He has almost no strength left." The truth was slowly taking shape, a truth far more complex and heartbreaking than the initial crazed beast theory. This dog wasn't the predator. He was a victim. I didn't leave his side for the rest of the night and all the next day. We gave him a temporary name, Buster. He slept deeply under the influence of medication and exhaustion. I monitored his vital signs closely. His weak heartbeat gradually steadied. His blood pressure slowly rose. He was a fighter, battling for his own life. When he woke up the next afternoon, he showed no aggression at all. He was weak, trembling, and scared. He cowered in the corner of the cage when I reached in to check his IV line. His eyes, one an icy blue, the other a warm brown, looked at me with weary resignation. There wasn't a hint of aggression. I offered him a bowl of warm, nutritional gruel. He sniffed it, then timidly licked a little, then a little more. He ate slowly, as if he'd forgotten what a full belly felt like. That evening, our team sat in the truck, tired but tentatively pleased with Buster's stabilized condition. Jack turned on a small portable TV to watch the news. And then it appeared. The evening news report. A reporter stood in front of the alley where we'd found Buster, sensationalizing the story. A newborn baby miraculously survives a vicious attack by a stray dog. The screen showed blurry images from the night before. Buster baring his teeth, his mouth covered in blood. Then, an image of the baby being loaded into the ambulance. Buster, who had been dozing quietly, suddenly shot up. The sound from the TV and the image of the baby triggered something in him. He got to his feet, stumbled, and lunged toward the small TV screen. He didn't bark. He let out heartbreaking whines, pressing his nose against the screen, his front paws scratching gently at the side of the truck. He looked at the image of the baby, then turned to look at me, his eyes filled with an urgent question. What is he doing?" Liam asked, astonished. I was stunned. I understood. I understood everything. "He's not agitated," I said, my voice trembling. "He's asking us. He's asking if the baby is okay. He's worried." He wasn't the attacker. He was the protector, and he thought he had failed. I looked at Jack. "Jack, we have to take him to the hospital, right now. He needs to know the baby is safe." Jack looked at me, then at Buster, desperately pawing at the TV, then back at me. He didn't ask another question. "Liam, start the engine." Getting a large bandaged dog into a children's hospital was a bureaucratic nightmare. But the young officer from that night, after hearing my explanation about the rat bites, helped us with a deep sense of remorse. He managed to convince his superiors and the hospital administration to grant us an exception. I pushed the wheelchair-carrying Buster down the hall to a large glass window looking into the neonatal intensive care unit. Buster, who had been whining and struggling, fell silent the moment he saw the tiny bundle in the incubator on the other side. He took a deep breath. His tail, bare of fur, began to thump, thump, thump against the side of the wheelchair. A weak rhythm, but it held an ocean of relief. He rested his head against the cool glass, his two colored eyes never leaving the baby for a second. Inside the room, a nurse gasped in amazement. The baby, as if sensing a familiar presence, stirred and smiled in his sleep. The officer approached me, his voice trembling. "Doctor, the lab results just came back. The blood on the baby? It's a perfect match for the dog's blood sample, not the baby's." Now all the pieces fell into place. The bloodstain on the baby's blanket was from Buster cuddling him, blood from his own wounds seeping through. The blood on Buster's mouth was from him fighting off enemies to protect the baby. We had almost shot the child's only savior. The story of the miraculous hospital encounter caused a sensation, but the rawest, most painful truth was only revealed when Liam, with his skills, managed to recover data from an old security camera from the warehouse across the alley. Our whole team sat in front of the laptop, holding our breath. 1 a.m. A luxury car pulls up. A woman throws a basket into the snow and drives away. The baby is abandoned. 1:15 a.m. Buster appears. He's limping, scavenging for food in the trash. He walks past the basket, then stops. He could have left, but he turned back. He lay down, curling his body around the basket, using himself as a living blanket, his breath as a heater for the tiny life form. 3 a.m. A pack of sewer rats arrives. Buster jumps up. He is old. His legs are in pain, but he charges into battle like a Spartan warrior. He uses his body as a shield. The rats bite his legs, his stomach, his face. His blood spatters on the snow. But for 4 hours, he doesn't retreat a single step. I know this footage is hard to watch, but his story deserves to be seen. And when the police cars arrived, he growled, because he thought they were another threat coming to take the baby away. Jack's phone rang just as the video ended. An elderly neighbor had seen the news and recognized Buster. She told us about Joe, a Marine Corps veteran who had recently passed away. She told us how Buster had stood guard over his owner's body for 3 days before being driven away by the family. He had lost everything, but that night, in the middle of a blizzard, he had found his purpose again. No one gets left behind. 2 weeks later. Quiet Paws farm is bathed in warm sunlight. Buster, now clean and having gained a few pounds, is sunbathing on the porch. His coat is becoming smooth again, but the scars remain, like medals of honor. The family who adopted the baby, they named him Leo, sent us a picture. Leo is sleeping soundly, and next to him is a framed photo of Buster. Buster lifts his head and looks at me. That look no longer holds sadness or panic. It holds peace. The deep peace of one who has successfully completed his life's mission. I sit down next to him, scratching gently behind his ears. We thought we were the rescuers, but sometimes it's the wronged and abandoned souls who teach us the greatest lessons about love and loyalty. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications if you believe in the mission of Quiet Paws and want to join us on our next rescues. Please share Buster's story, because every share helps spread the message that kindness still exists, often in the most unexpected places. Because every life has a story worth hearing.